Soggy Science here, episode 34. It's the end of Shark Week. Dun 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 dun. Oh my goodness. Crazy nutty week. There's been more shark news and science this week than I think ever before. So, certainly awareness of sharks has been going well with Shark Week, even though Shark Week hasn't been going so well. There were some good shows in there, I have to admit. And I'm a fan of Shark Week. I usually love it. But it's turned from good science and demystifying sharks to building its own set of mythology. Another fake-umentary on Megalodon. Another fake-umentary about a 30-foot-long great white. Doesn't exist. Megalodon doesn't exist. And portrayed as a documentary instead of fiction. Jaws for the new millennia. I really wish they could get back to more profound stuff. They had a couple really good shows in there. Alien Sharks was about deep species and had some good science in it. See, it is possible. It's possible. But, boy, most of the tweets and reactions from science was wholly negative. But the controversy created ratings. So guess what? As long as that happens, we're going to continue to have this stuff. But the good news is that some of the more science-based programming really did well in the ratings. So hopefully we'll find some balance and we'll swing back to the more facts-based stuff instead of the sensationalistic pseudoscience stuff. But good friend of Soggy Science, Andy Casagrande, shot a good chunk of the more facts-based ones. Sensationalized a little bit, but Shark Matrix is pretty cool. Cool technology development there, buddy. Joe Romanero was out there shooting as well on more of the facts-based stuff. So thanks, guys, for sticking to the stuff that was better produced and written. But overall, tweets were highly negative. I think people are getting the clue that most of it's sensationalistic. But if there's any doubt in anyone's mind, Megalodon doesn't exist. And in spite of the marketing ploys, no, it's not. Well, you never know. Anyway, good news on the shark front, besides all the additional science and news that came out with Shark Week, is that Steve Robles, the gentleman that was bit off Manhatten Beach Pier, was out swimming again. And he did the peer-to-peer swim from Hermosa to Manhattan Beach. Good on you, buddy. Glad to see you're back in the water. And glad you're not afraid to get back in the water. Clearly you understand that it was not the shark's fault. He was on a line, and it was stupid human tricks that caused the problem. Anyway, I'm glad to see that he's back. Well, in more controversial news, SeaWorld has been lighting up the internet lately. Stock prices have tanked. Like a 40% reduction this year, and like 25% in one day. Blackfish is having a profound impact. They say it's not a response to this, but they announced plans to double the size of the enclosure in San Diego. That's great, but some have quoted that that's like trying to repaint the Titanic after it hit the iceberg, and that it's a broken business model. Only the future will tell. We can vote with our dollars. If you don't agree with them, don't go. Don't take people. And it's simply a fact of choice. Make your choice wisely. Anyway, on to more news about sharks. Google puts a lot of fiber optic cable around the world to make the internet faster. We love that. And they're working on one from Russia to Alaska to speed things up, which is awesome. Awesome. Booyah. Well, apparently, sharks like these cables. They gnaw on the cables. So Google has reinforced their cables with stainless steel and what some people call Kevlar, but apparently it's not Kevlar. It's their own polyethylene protective yarn, which is cool. So they're spending millions of dollars to make your internet faster. It's a good portion and model for their business anyway. But who knew that sharks literally could affect the internet directly? but it's good that they're protecting against that so we don't go down with some of these cables. They are hundreds of millions of dollars to put in place, and much better than copper. Much faster, much less resistance. So that's pretty cool stuff. Cool news on the technology front. GoPro announced the GoPro Hero 4. And incredible news, 4K at 30 frames a second. We all use them. I have about 8 of them. It's an incredible tool and useful in many, many places. A lot more features than just 4K at 30 frames a second. But that means you can shoot normally at 4K for under $400. Awesome! It's due out in October. Can't wait to play with it. I'll probably get a couple just to begin with and more from there. We're going to be able to shoot 120 frames a second at 1080, which is standard high definition, which means cool slow motion built into the camera. So that's even more cool, and other features as well. So I look forward to playing with it and getting out there and using it. Floods in Detroit. They got like 4 inches of rain in one day. Ugh. But unfortunately they had sewer overflows, which puts a bunch more phosphate into the water, which goes into Lake Erie, which causes those algae blooms we've been talking so much about and are showing up all over the place. So they're looking to treat their sewage and deal with phosphate outfall a lot more, which is great news. We all probably need to start looking at that. Mono Lake. I just got back from Mono Lake, and if you don't know where Mono Lake is, it's in the eastern Sierras, north of Mammoth Lakes, which is a famous resort ski area, and just south of Yosemite, the turnoff to Yosemite anyway. That's at Lee Vining. And it's kind of an inland sea. It's got twice the salinity of the Pacific Ocean. Twice! It's a saltwater inland lake that was highly threatened, but it's a very delicate, very unique place. A lot of California birds migrate through there during the summer because it's incredibly productive, believe it or not. There's algae in the lake, and the algae feeds 2 things. Alkali flies, little black flies, which are all over the place, and brine shrimp. Trillions of brine shrimp. And tons of flies, and the native peoples actually ate the larvae of the flies, and these flies are so cool. These alkali flies will grab an air bubble, hold it next to them, and they can go into the water for up to 15 minutes. And most of their life cycle happens underwater. They feed underwater. Only as adults do they live outside of the lake. That's amazing. It's a really tight food web, which is trophically interesting. It's very sensitive, obviously, because if you lose one thing, the whole thing crashes. And it was really in trouble with the water. And then in the 90s, the water board fought to have more water diverted back to the lake. Because believe it or not, it's 300 miles away from Los Angeles. But Los Angeles gets a chunk of its drinking water from the Sierras along the Colorado River. So this ties into water quality and things like that. But tufa are calcium carbonate mounds or pillars that grow underwater, and I had the fortunate ability to go hang out with them and got some very cool footage. But what happens is those are springs, and that water, fresh water, comes into that salt lake and interacts with the carbonate in the lake, and you get this calcium carbonate precipitating out, forming these columns. So everything you see has been underwater in the past. It is only formed when it's underwater, so it's deteriorating when the water levels are lower. Luckily, it was almost half its volume, and now it's back up to within 20% of its maximum volume that we know of. So that's good news on the conservation front. Super exciting trip, and if you get a chance, get up there and take a look. It is one of the coolest places ever. So, who knew? Well, I did, but it was fun to visit and check it out and share it with you. Florida, on the different kind of algae front. Huge red tide. Twice, 1.5 times the size of Rhode Island is offshore. It's 20 miles offshore. And this is Carina brevis, a dinoflagellate, and it's booming in its population, and it's moving towards Florida shores. The problem with this nasty little bugger is that when it gets in close to shore, about a mile away or less, with the water shallow and it gets kicked up, it will actually aerosol its toxins and makes it hard for people to breathe. And you get poisoned just from the air sometimes. So obviously it's going to have a detrimental impact on sea life, and it killed a bunch of manatees last year. And again, we need to control, our effluent into the oceans. It's the fertilizers, the phosphates, the nitrogen that is causing these blooms to go much bigger than they ever have in the past. So water quality, once again, wow. I don't know if the algae storage are going to stop anytime soon. Oh, well, bottled water. If you're a fan of bottled water, don't be. Turns out that the vast majority of bottled water is bottled right here in the Southwest and mainly in California. And guess what our problem is? We don't have enough water. Sadly, some of these CEOs believe that water shouldn't be a right for everybody and you should pay for it. Well, it is a resource, should be managed as such, but good time to filter your own water, carry a container, stop drinking bottled water, because it's coming from the drought areas, believe it or not. Anyway, and on the technology front, cool new natural gas container ship is in liquid natural gas, much cleaner than diesel. And that's pretty awesome. It's being built for tote ship holdings, and it's in the General Dynamics fabrication center in San Diego. It's $350 million, and it's 764 feet long. And it's almost ready. So very soon we're going to have a hybrid or alternative energy container ship. Anyway, if you have any suggestions or comments, please send them my way. Subscribe. Check us out on social media. And get out there, be curious, get in the water, find some adventure, and get soggy.